Hi and welcome to CSM TAC. I'm Peter Briggs and I'm here with Musah Adamu. I worked with Musah at Senelager in Germany while we were in the Royal Military Police. He was one of my Lance Corporals when I was working there as the police office manager. And he's kindly wanted to come on to the show today, and we're going to talk about his journey and his leadership morals and the way that he's dealt with the problems that he's overcome and how he's got to where he is now and what he's doing to help other individuals now with their problems. Welcome, Adamu. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks so much for getting me on this prestigious platform to get to speak to everyone else out there, and hopefully this story or this interview will go a long way to change other people's life, or also put the perspective of why people travel, who they are, where when they find people in certain places, they shouldn't just misjudge. There's always a story behind every individual, and every single individual has got something that is unique about them. And so today I'll take you through a quick journey of who Musah Adamu is and where I'm coming from. Basically, I am from Ghana in West Africa. I was born in the city of Accra, which is the capital. And quickly I went to, I was taken to the village because of family issues. My parents divorced when I was just 6 months old. Things were very difficult, and we moved to a place called Donkokrom, which is a remote area. At that time that I was born, there was no electricity there, and there was no proper road network. So I was staying with my mom at some point. Then I moved to stay with my dad and my stepmom. And then things started changing very quickly. And for those who don't know much of African kind of culture, mostly, and I'll talk on the perspective of Ghana, for example, mostly you live with your dad and he's supposed to look after you. If there is any kind of marriage breakdown, sometimes the man will decide that is my son and I have got the responsibility of taking him with him. And mostly you end up with a stepmom or a stepdad, whichever way it is. And again, there are difficulties that are attached to that. First of all, there is a lot of poverty in my area. And also when somebody have to look after you, that you are not actually their own offspring. Right from primary school, very hard to get even my school fees, for example. So some teachers, for example, will have to come together and say, hey, he's a very, very brilliant boy. Then, you know, what happens is when you go to school and you owe school fees, they send you home. So basically, if your parents manage to get the money, you come back. If they don't have the money, you stay home. And again, when you go home, you're not just going home, you're just going to the home that you sometimes don't want to go to. So you get there, and definitely there is a chore for you to do. One of my chores was to go out selling. So my stepmom would
How old are you when you were doing this, Musah?
Well, that's around from 6 upwards. You know, I was carrying things on my head and be going around the villages, selling things, you know, trying to make money. And even when you close from school, you still have to come back to this same thing. And so these things went on. Mostly everybody in my village knew me, first of all, for selling things. And most of the time you see me bare-chested with just a tiny shorts everywhere. And sometimes my teachers will go, no. They will contribute. They will put money together and pay for my fees for me to just come back to school. And the good thing was, at the end of the term, we used to have like the results from first to the last person. And mostly I will be the first person, you know, and people were going, oh, he's really brilliant, he's doing well, and a whole lot of things were going on. I it got to a point where I really wanted to go and stay with my mom, but my dad would not let me. And then my mom had also moved to a village closer to my mom. So sometimes in the afternoon when I get a bit hungry and I look around and I can't find, I find that, look, I can easily go to my mom. I'll just run. I'll just go. Maybe it takes about, my mom's place was about 9 miles away. And so I'll run through the corners and then just hit the main road and just go. So it takes long, maybe an hour or something. I'll end up at my mom's place, she'll be crying and so on. And then, yeah, I'll end up getting something to eat and then I'll just run back. Sometimes I get home very late and mostly you see my feet very dirty because I've been running on a untiled road. I'm laughing now, but it wasn't really fun, And then, yeah, I'll make my way back to the place and just come and hide my gari somewhere. Because first of all, I knew I was going to be beaten anyway. I will be punished because going away for more than 3-4 hours, I couldn't account for where I was. But the thing was, I was not going to tell them that I went to my mom. And so, yeah, I'll go through that punishment. And so I'm just giving you the rough problems that young people go through. And then I'm going to start with my life, what made me who I am. So going through all these things, sometimes when I go to school, I go at break time, I'll just come out and look for a place where there's a job. So I started selling kerosene, some paraffin lamp. There's something we pour it in. It's like Jet A1, the one they put in the airplanes, but this one is a kerosene one. So basically, I started selling that. I went around the village looking for empty bottles and things and started my own trading. So I buy a gallon of kerosene.
And how old are you at this time?
Between 9 and 10.
And you're selling kerosene lamps,
yeah, in the village. Yeah, I was going around the village and selling my kerosene. And then all along, I'll have a bag around me with my books in it. Because when I finish roaming the village, I'll go to the center, the town center, and station myself somewhere where those who need me will just walk towards there and buy. And whilst I'm doing that, I will be reading my book, which is my homework and other things that I'll be doing. I needed to study. So that's what I went through till my mom moved to that town and I moved to go and stay with my mom. And so me and my mom were living together, just the two of us, and then we're trying to find means. And I'll cut some part out because at some point whilst I was here, she got married and have my younger ones and also a whole lot of things. I went to them and there were so many things, but those ones will be left behind. So basically that was the beginning of Musah Adamu. And then I moved on to go on to the junior secondary school and completed my junior secondary school. So after junior secondary school, and as around that time, when I came to junior secondary school, around 1992, I started taking tourists around. When anybody comes around that wants to see what is going on in my village, I take them around. They give me some kind of tips. Some give me a lot of different things. And so I met a lady called Stephanie. And Stephanie Musah was a Canadian who had moved to Spain. And she came around to my village as a tourist and we met. Took her around. She wanted to spend about 3 days. And because we really got on very well, she stayed a bit longer and we got to know each other. So we adopted each other as a family. And she went back to Spain. Then when she got to Spain, she sent me a camera. It's like a disposable camera of these days. But at that time, it had a flash and a very, very, very good camera that I had. So I started taking pictures in my school, and there were no electricity or anything. So if you can take a picture, you put all the films together and then give it to someone to go to the nearest city to go and print it out. So when they bring it out, I sell it to my colleagues or my student, and then make some money. And that was what I was using to pay for my school and so on. So then I'll fast forward, I completed junior secondary school and I was preparing to go to senior secondary school. I had a lot of big objectives, things that I wanted for myself, where I saw myself. But what I failed to look at was my circumstance as a child. I thought I was going to learn hard and then get the best grade and choose the best schools. And yeah, it all happened. But then, yes, I did very well. I got one of the best grades in my district. And I was like, yay, this time I'm about to go. And guess what? I didn't have money to go to all the schools that I chose. And then again, I didn't have anybody to help me out. And so school started, all the dreams came crashing. And then there was a local senior secondary school that I wanted to go. I didn't have the money even for that. So I decided that I would stay home a bit. Then I had some Americans came in to do some work with UNICEF in my village. So I decided to help them out as a garden boy. I was cleaning and washing things for them and they were paying me weekly. And when they pay me, I had a tin in their room that when they pay me, they would just give me the money. I'll still have to put it in that tin, saving the money until I saved a bit more money. And then the plan was that I wanted to go to school. I didn't have anybody to help. Then I decided, okay, if I can't get a big school, I'll go to the small one in my village. Then I enrolled myself in that secondary school. I couldn't finish the first term because first of all, I didn't have money for myself. And second, I get so hungry that sometimes when I'm walking back, I feel so dizzy. I was like, no, that's it. I'm not going to this school again. I'm done. So when I dropped out, all my friends started laughing at me. Those who had the money had gone to the cities. And when they come around, they start going, oh, you're going to be our garden boy. Yes, and I was in the village as well, carrying things from transport. When cars come around, I'll go and carry things for them to make some money. And so one day I decided that I'm not staying back in my village again. I'm just going to travel wherever it is. Around that time, I would say between 14, 15, getting to 16, those areas, not specific, but around that time. So I decided, well, I'm going to leave. And I knew how to sew shoes and things. So shoemaking and stuff. So I got all the things that I needed and made a box. All that was all that I had and took about 5 clothes, the top and down and everything and made my way out of my village. Most of the stories will be cut out because we don't have much time, so I'll be compacting them. So I made my way to Togo, which is a neighboring country. And then, yeah, I went there to do shoemaking. I do shoemaking throughout the capital. So many parts of Togo I did. Then traveled through Togo, went to Burkina Faso, went through the same thing, traveled through Burkina Faso, went to Niger. And then in the capital in Niger, I stayed in Niger for a little while, you know, working at Musée National des Artisans. They have a place where they do artwork and also they have the zoo nearby. But mostly tourists come from English-speaking countries. They don't speak English. And I spoke their language, which was Zabrama. And in Togo, I spoke Ewe, which is also a common language in Ghana. But most of them, they speak French. I don't speak French, but in Togo, I speak Ewe. And then in Niger, I spoke Hausa and I spoke Zabrama, which is their native language. So that was what I was doing, and I was doing translations. Then I got a bit of money and I moved from Niamey, which was the capital. I went to Dosso, Bruni-Konni, all the way down to Agadez, which was the desert capital of Niger. So I stayed in Agadez a little while. Then I went to Tamarasset, which was in Algeria, found out it wasn't how I thought it would be. So I came back to Agadez and set up a place where people like myself who are trying to travel to Libya and need a place to stay. So I set up some small places, more or less. I called it my hotel at that time because it was just a room that I'll put lots of mats in there. People come and sleep, and then they will pay you 500 francs, which was the 500 CFA, safer at that time at night. So all of them will contribute. And at the same time, there will be people who are stranded. They don't have any trade, they don't have any money, and they are stuck. So when I get this money, so I go and buy rice and onion and stuff and just cook and then give them some to eat. So basically I was between finding my way around and also supporting other people and getting what I could. And then I moved on to a town called Dirkou, which was on the desert of Niger. It's called Dirkou. So I was in Dirkou, and there was this army camp there where because I spoke their language, I was able to make friends with the soldiers over there who also get normal supplies of food from Libya as well as their own place. And then when I go out there and help them to cook things, I get some to eat. And then the leftover I'll pick them up and take it to other people who are stranded in Dirkou, and then they will eat. So I kept on doing that until I found my money to be able to move from Dirkou. So we went through Dirkou. From Dirkou, we went to Daotumi, Zigidim, Madama, and then straight down to Gatron, which was in Libya. And then from Gatron, I went to Sabha, and I stayed in Sabha as a house help. I clean cars, wash things for people, wash their house, do all kind of jobs that I could land my hand on. And fortunately, I was able to get this man who really liked me. His name was Hamali Hamfala, who was very, very good. He kept me in his house. He gave me everything that I needed. I was supporting him in his shop. He had a shop as well. So basically, I became one of their families. But then it became very twisted. And his brothers were not very comfortable with how much control I had in terms of looking after his cars, looking after the shop, and going. So they started threatening me, and I wasn't very happy. So I said, okay, I will move. So then I moved to Tripoli. And then in Tripoli, I went straight to the Ghanaian embassy. Didn't know who I was, I didn't know anybody. So I went there, and then when the place was closing down, they said, look, we closed, everybody go home. And I was just like, oops, it's getting difficult. So there was a man there who was a translator at that time. He's called Alaji Otin. Alaji Otin said, okay, let's go to my house. So he took me to his house. And then I told him things that I was capable of doing and all that. So he took me straight up to a place where they have a Ghanaian community school. So I became a teacher in a Ghanaian community school. I was teaching in the school. So I did some work in the school for a little while. And then my sister, Stephanie, called me from Spain. I sent her a letter and a message. She said, look, you have to go back to Ghana. You really have to go. This is so dangerous. And she was crying over the phone and said, look, you can't stay there. And I said, look, I'm okay. I'm trying my best. I've saved some money. And she said, no, you still have to go. So yes, I had to make my way back to Ghana. And then I came to Ghana and did a course at Hotel, Kitchen and Tourism, which is called HotCat. It's an institution where they have courses. So I went to do a course in HotCat. Then after the course, my small mind told me again that you can still make it because you know how Libya works and so on. And so you can go back and do something. So this time I didn't tell my sister. I went after the course. I said, look, I'm now qualified tour guide. I've got these qualifications. Now when I go, I can do well. By then I had also, because I used to go to schools to help out with things in Ghana, there was a book that was published in Australia. It's called Australian Science Teachers Journal. And this book had I was featured in the book with the work that I was doing in schools and things. It's called Using Natural Materials for Educative Toys. And so I took everything with me with pictures, and then I went to Libya. That was my nightmare, because at that time I thought, well, I can go for a visa and everything, not knowing somebody that I trusted to get a visa for me went and did a fake visa, you know, and that was where things went bad. So for this long story, it can be first and second, but I will cut it really, really short. It's becoming too long, and I'll bring it back. So move backwards. I then decided that I go to Libya. Libya didn't help. I had a lot of problems with immigration and a whole lot of things. So I decided, no, I'll have to go back. So I came back to Ghana and decided to set up my business. So I set up a business of making batiks and tie-dye, that is clothing. I also did set up, I went to train to do soap making and a whole lot of things. So I set up over there, and I was doing my tourism. I was doing soap. I was making batiks. I was doing a bit of politics in the corner here and there. So in 1999 and 2000, I and a group of people, we came together and said, look, this place communication is very difficult. We set up a radio station, which is called RAP FM, Radio Afram Plains. And we did work on Radio Afram Plains for a while. Then I met another tourist from Holland, Harold and Maureen. They also came to meet me in my village. They were very happy with the job I was doing. They said they would help us out. So then they came back to Netherlands and sent me 4 computers. And it was the first computers that we ever saw in my village at that time. So I gave it to the schools around. And then even though I didn't know much about the computers, all I knew was that we were going to be typing on it. And then those who knew a bit of it were trying. At some point, we were able to type and print the exam papers. You know, we're trying to get ourselves into a current style. And that was the first project. And then in 2004, I decided to travel to United Kingdom to see this part of the world, what it's all about. So then when I came to United Kingdom, at first I came as a tourist. I wanted to see how things was going so I can make my business go well. And then through that, I realized, oh, this is a nice place. Maybe I can do something else. So I decided to offer my service as a community developer, as a tour guide, as somebody who likes culture. I do batiks and things. I approached an organization called NEED. So it's Norfolk Education and Action for Development, and in Norwich. And I approached them. I said, look, this is what I can do. If you need my service, I can volunteer my service. And that was when they took me to some schools. And the job I did in the school was so good. The kids like it. They kept asking for me to come to different schools. At the same time, my visa was just a visit. So we had to make sure that we transfer it into a proper visa that I'll be able to do what I was doing. So they supported me to get a visa as a voluntary worker for a year. And that was what I was doing until I saw the British Army advert. And I was like, it sounds interesting. Let me go out there and see. So I went into a careers office, and then I applied to be a soldier. They told me things that I had to do. So I went for a BAP test. Fortunately, I passed my BAP test, and then I had to start training. And so I went through the training, and I said, because of time, in any burst time, we can talk more about that. But then through that, I did go out for my selection week, and then pass through the selection week, and I had to choose a trade. All along, I really want to go into the intelligence corps, but then I was told, no, you have to be British, so you can't join the intelligence corps. And then I said, okay, then I need to find a trade that is respectable, something that I'll be able to do it for long term. So then I got myself, I said I was going to Queen Alexandra Medical Corps to be a medic. And then after the interview, I passed, but they said, you have to wait for another 6 months to get the final interview. And at that time, the cutoff point to join the army was 29. And I was just a few months away from 29. So I said, look, if I go out to this 6 months, am I going to be able to get in? They said, once you pass the 29, that's you. If you are not in, you are out. So I asked, what else can I get? Which will give me, let's say, within a week or two, I will be in the British Army. And they said, okay, you have driving and you have chefing. Which one? So I thought of my background as a tourist, and I was thinking one day I can have my own hotel and then become my own chef. And so boom, I went for chefing. And so yeah, through that I went to St. Omer secondary
in Aldershot, yeah.
Yeah, Aldershot.
The old camp in Aldershot, yeah.
Yes, so it was the Defence School of Catering. So that was where I went after
That's the hardest course in the British Army, that, isn't it? No one's ever passed that course.
Well, fortunately, I was actually the best student in my trip. I became the best student, and I was very, very proud, because when I joined, I didn't know anything about British food, nothing at all. But God being so good, I was able to go through that training. And then fast forward, I was posted to different parts of the world, and then I have to, one of our guys had an issue. He died basically, and we had to take him to Ghana. And me being a Ghanaian, I understood the Ghanaian culture, I understood the protocols, so I had to prepare everything. I led the team with my 3 Battalion Rimi, and we went up to Ghana and performed a full military funeral. And it went very, very successful. And I was given a GOC commendation from the 20 Armored Brigade in Paderborn. And then also, whilst we were on the flight, one of our bosses called me and said, do you really want it to be a chef, or it's, you know, he, not like in a demeaning way, but he saw the way I operated in Ghana, the way I did everything here. He thought, there's more in you that you can be given an opportunity to do. And that is one of the greatest things I find in the British Army, that you do find yourself in situations, and then when you get there, if there's an opportunity and you find the right person, you are given that opportunity. It doesn't matter who you are, for as long as you are good at what you do. So basically, going through all these things, my boss said, okay, if you wanted to do something else, come and see me at my office on Monday and we'll see what we can do. I got there and he had a career office there, and he said he wants a change of trade. So, and I've been seeing the RMPs in town and the things they do, and my mind was telling me, look, you know some of these cultural things, you can play a role in a different way, so why don't you join the RMP? So yes, I joined I said I wanted the RMP, and I was, in 2 days time, just within 2 days, they sent me off straight for an interview in Hereford. And then I passed the interview there, and then I went through the training and became the RMP, and that was when I met you, and you being my boss. And so, yes, one of the things, and I'll just round it up now, I really found myself in a culture where I didn't know much about British culture. And in my time, you know, in the army, there's a lot of swearing. And so at the beginning, I was very shocked. I'll see somebody who didn't know me and started swearing at me, and I'll go, no, you have no right to swear at me, and then things like that. But again, it's one of the skills that was there. You better get on with it or get out. And that was the only options. And I think those are the things that changed me in terms of build me and toughened me up and gave me most of the things that I can say today, or say who I am today. And then again, me coming from different parts of the world, the way I see myself and the way sometimes the cultural shock comes, it makes people try to ask questions of who you are, what you want. And I would say that It doesn't matter. Once you get to England, you know that, excuse me, it's a white man's country and you're a black person. Yes, there are other black people who hail from here, but then you know the majority are white people. They also have a way of life. They have the way they live. So it's up to you to adjust to certain things. It's not everything that will go as smooth, because there are certain things that people say, they don't mean to offend you, or they think they can say it because maybe the background or where they come from, you can just say it. Sometimes there are people who can also intimidate you to make you walk away from your dream. And if you are like me, someone like me, what I've gone through, where my mind is, I'm not really seeing anybody who is trying to be, excuse me to say, be ignorant. I don't have time. I really have a family to look after. I have my life to go on, and I'm not really looking at the negatives. I look at the positives and look forward. It is hard, but it's not the end of it. When you go out there, give yourself out, like myself today, I can say confidently that I haven't gotten to where I want to get to. But today, through the hardship I went through, I have got 4 kids, got 3 girls, 1 boy. And last week, my eldest daughter started the university in this country, which shows that all my hard work did not go in vain. I couldn't afford secondary school, but today my youngest daughter is in secondary school. These are some of the things that we have to look at to, the possible and the opportunities that are out there for any individual, no matter where you come from and no matter what your background is. You have to be positive. You have to look at things in a light that don't always turn around and look for negative, but a positive. I know our time is far spent, so I'll stop here. And again, I have been working on an organization called HELAC. It's Health, Education, Livelihood, Agriculture, Climate. This is what I am doing to support my community back in Ghana. I was supported by some friends in Netherlands who have been so good to me. That is Maureen, Harold, and Peter, and also the Bax families. They have supported us. So far, we have supported 23 schools with computers and laptops. We are still working so hard to open opportunities for people who were like me, or people who are in the situation that I used to be in. They can't afford to go around the desert. They can't afford to do things that I went through and risking my life. But today, I know that HELAC is going to go a long way to support people. So if you want to find more information on HELAC, it is HELAC, which is HELAC.community. And there's so much information out there.
I'll put a link to that in the video. So if you look in the comments below, there'll be a link to Musah's website, and you can have a check out of what's happening there and how people are helping people in Ghana. What I wanted to just say was thank you very much. That's just such an inspirational story. I've got a couple of words down here that I'm just associating with you. So entrepreneur, I think you give Alan Sugar a run for, you should go on The Apprentice and have a little go at that. Nomad. I hope you found your home now. I hope you're settled, because you moved around a hell of a lot, and you're the trust. And I must admit that this probably would worry me nowadays. Maybe it shouldn't worry us as much as it is. But the trust that you put in people, going off with people you didn't know, spending time in their house, with their families. The trust that you entrusted with other people, especially at a young age, that's quite phenomenal. So I'll put the link for HELAC below in the comments. If anybody wants to contact us, put a comment at the bottom of here. I'm sure Musah will love to have a conversation with people who would be like-minded, or have people that they're inspired by this story. Thank you very much appreciated.
Thank you too for giving me a platform like this to share the story.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's such a good story. Thank you very much. If you'd like to share and like this video, please do so and leave your comments below. Thank you very much.